Adam Schefter alluding to the fact that the salary cap might go down $30 to $80 million in the next year or so because of the potential COVID-19 quarantine away from games being played without fans. Now, granted, we don't know much in this room about what happens in the real world because kind of live in this bubble, and it's, to be honest, it's a lot nicer this way. It's much nicer. Ignorance is bliss, they say. We live by that model, but now in this world, you kind of have to learn as you go. Do I think that there's going to be an entire NFL season 4 months from now, maybe, that starts, if they delay it, without fans in the stands? Now, granted, this might be completely ignorant because I'm in Indianapolis and I'm not in one of those big cities, right? Mm-hmm. Might be completely ignorant. And I don't know what happened in Texas when they opened. Is that a real consideration at this point? Because think about not only football losing them, think about like humans that can't work for another 4 months. I mean, this is a wild time to be alive. Let's hope the super smart people figure this out so we can get back to games. And I think a lot of NFL players are currently looking at their contract situation, looking at their future, and hearing this report from Schefter on the My Sports Update podcast saying, wow, there's about to be $30 to $80 million lost in the salary cap. If you're an older player and you have just signed a contract or something of that nature, and there's a chance that they can get rid of you if the salary cap drops that much, you're a little bit not a little bit worried. I mean, granted, everybody should be worried about this case, but that changes the future of a lot of people's careers if that happens in our world, in the NFL world. There's going to be older players that's careers maybe will get cut short because they're not worth the payment because you don't have as much money to spend. But when Schefter started diving into those numbers of how much money is being made each week by these teams, so these teams, if there's an entire season played with no fans, okay, 16-game season, 8 home games for each team, 2 preseasons if you want to count it. Schefter says that is $100 million in lost revenue for each team. Okay, now granted, Jacksonville doesn't always sell out. No offense to them. We're just talking about things that happen. Some places don't sell out, but about $100 million. If you don't count the preseason games, that's $12.5 million each game they make just from tickets. I don't know what happens with concessions and stuff like that. But if you do the math, obviously, with 32 teams, Schefter pointed out, that's $3.2 billion that they lose just in tickets, let alone jersey sales, television, merch, like other merch. You're talking about everything that the NFL operates as. What a business. The more and more I learn about it during the CBA thing, the more and more I learn about this. The NFL is making so much money, and it's a sport that brings so much happiness to a lot of people. But that thought of it, an entire season happening without fans, is crazy to me. And then you got to think about the players, just because, I mean, they're humans as well, trying to make a living. Probably most of them come from pretty humble backgrounds, and they've made a living for themselves playing sport. If you think about that, okay, so now we're playing an entire season, knowing that next year we're probably going to lose a lot of our jobs and a lot of money. I mean, that's going to be an interesting conversation with the CBA or the NFLPA and the NFL. This COVID-19 thing. And let's not even start talking about murder hornets.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about murder hornets. What if murder hornets start fornicating with other murder hornets? And now we got super murder hornets, and I assume their biggest murder hornet hasn't even been born yet. No. Right? That thing's coming. Yeah. It's going to be the size of a toddler. It's a little... Oh, no. It's unbelievable. I just feel like, and I said this yesterday, and it might be because I led this entire thing off with saying we are stupid when it comes to a lot of this stuff. I feel like the light is at the end of the tunnel for this thing. I might be wrong. I guess in New York, they said that they're not coming back to their office until September 8th. That is a long time from now. But if New York's coming back to September 8th, we could have pushed the stadium or the season back a little bit. If that's what they're projecting. I mean, granted, what if the murder hornets become like 2 billion murder hornets come out tomorrow? I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. I think that is what I've learned throughout this entire thing is the predictability of the future is next to nothing at this point. So who knows what's going to happen? But they're predicting September 8th or something like that. So that means at least something can happen. I don't know if there's going to be an entire season without fans. I just don't think that's going to happen. But boy, $30 to $80 million salary cap dump. So sorry to interrupt. If you're a man watching this, you deserve to have long, great. And you can do that now with our friends at Roman. Right now, you go to GetRoman.com. You get $10 off and free 2-day shipping on Roman swipes, which are guaranteed to make you have longer, more fulfilling every time you get in the sack. Now let's get back to the fornicating action. That's quite a wide gap too, by the way. That's like a that is like that is like whenever they tell you we'll be at your house to change your from 6 a.m. to about 9 p.m. Just keeping that window open. But that's because if it's half a season, I assume without fans, that's where the numbers lie and stuff like that. Insane business stuff.
I still don't know how it's possible if it drops like that for teams to even have a roster, because right now there's only 3 teams over the $30 million in cap space. So like if there's a $30 million drop, like there's gonna be 29 teams who can't get under the cap.
So what was it? 198.2 million you said earlier, right? Was the current cap? You drop 80 million there. That's 128. That's almost half the cap is gone right there. Right?
2009 was the last year that it was under 128 million dollars.
So it's like half a drop or whatever, and or half a cut almost.
Yeah.
I mean, if we do, somebody's going to do the quick math somewhere, 75, 80% of a drop, or no, sorry, 45%, 40 to 45% of a drop there. That is madness to think about who would lose their jobs. You know what? That's why they drafted Jordan Love. You know what I mean?
That's why they're not paying Dak.
They drafted Jordan Love. That's why they're not paying Dak. They know that this is coming, potentially can't pay the quarterback. That's what happened. I mean, that's just got to be the only reason why.
That will be, though. Like, most teams, like 3 guys will be making like 80 to 90% of the cap.
Well, they'll have to renegotiate. Every single contract will have to get renegotiated. There might be a deal maybe with the NFLPA where everybody's contract drops like whatever it is, 40% or something like that. Ask them to take a 40% pay cut or whatever. But there's going to be some problems that are going to rise there, and probably some early retirements.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Which, who knows?